When they said Formosa was coming in, looked like something inside of me just clicked because it's coming right next to me. It's almost 2 miles from where they want to build.
And part one of my special report, Victims of Progress, we introduced you to Sharon Lavigne, a woman who was on a crusade to stop even more chemical plants from coming into her St. James Parish community. So she formed the group Rise St. James after learning yet another plant called Formosa was slated to build near her home. And this isn't just any plant, but it's being called the largest facility in the state, producing products like plastic bottles and grocery bags. So what's at stake for people like Sharon, who have called St. James home all her life, and who really benefits from the petrochemical industry? I would take a look in part two of my special report, Victims of Progress.
I have grandchildren. Some will stay, some will go. One of the reasons for that is there's nothing here, nothing at all. My kids, I have one in Houston and one in Gonzales, and they're praying that I do leave because they're not here, and I'm living in Cancer Alley.
When I first visited St. James Parish last year, it was after the discovery of unmarked graves on the site slated for the Formosa petrochemical plant.
Pretty much the whole stretch of river from New Orleans to Baton Rouge was plantation country. And so there is going to be a slave cemetery, I would say with almost 100% certainty on every plantation that existed.
Formosa's consultants had discovered burial sites, likely of enslaved people, on the proposed site.
The site of that cemetery is surrounded by chain link fence placed by Formosa. When we reached out to the company, they told WWL FG is respectful of historical burial grounds and remains committed to cooperating with and following all local, state, and federal laws and regulations related to land use and cultural resources. While they imply the gravesite won't be disturbed, we can't say the same for the agricultural landscape surrounding it.
And today, the chemical plants come in, and they'll take, 2,000 or 4,000 acres out of that. And then the one goes in next door, and the one goes in next door, and pretty soon you have no agricultural fields. As you say, it's just an urban industrial landscape then.
And that's what Rise St. James is fighting. According to Lavigne, the majority of St. James residents were unaware in 2014 a vote was taken up by the St. James Parish Council, ushering in even more industry to St. James. The 2014 land use plan would now classify 2 council districts as residential, future industrial.
If it's classified as industrial, that means industry is allowed to build in that area.
How is it that it was made an industrial zone, but you have people who live there?
That's one of the concerns we have, is that I don't believe a lot of the locals have a strong enough voice at the table to decide if industry should be allowed in their area or not.
District 5 Councilman Clyde Cooper has lived in St. James Parish all of his life. He says he wasn't part of the vote transforming his home into one that ushers in industry. Which districts are affected the most by the chemical industry?
I would say the 5th district and the 4th district, which is on the east bank side of the river.
And is that the mostly African-American districts?
Yes, it is. Both of those areas are pretty much predominantly African-American.
Districts 4 and 5 were the only 2 to receive the designation.
I think you can talk to a lot of urban planners and they would have never heard this really cockamamie idea that residential can go with industry. Ann
Rolfes is the director of the Louisiana Bucket Brigade, the environmental health and justice organization.
They claim that this district is dying, but why is it dying? Because the parish government closed the high school, closed the post office. The parish government in the recent past has played a really active role in killing off some of the most important institutions.
And Cooper did vote for the latest project, Formosa, to come to St. James.
Initially, I was not in agreement of them coming in. We had a decision to make. The decision I made was with stipulations to allow them in, meaning they have to put up fence monitoring systems, They have to contribute to the local school system in the area. They have to beautify the park and where the plant is going to be located at. They also have to put in a training for the residents that live there on the West Bank.
But the population continues to drop in St. James, as some say they don't want to live in an area surrounded by industry, an area like Burton Lane.
Are you hearing a lot of people who are saying they wanted to sell? Like, did some people just want to move on and have something better or go to another life, or do people for the most part want to be here?
Well, a lot of people in Burton Land wanted to sell.
They wanted to sell?
They wanted to sell because two industries on this side. That's New Star, and over on this side is Marathon.
When industry arrived in St. James, a promise of a stronger economy and jobs came with it. A spokesperson for Governor Edwards told me Formosa would bring 1,200 direct jobs and an estimated 8,000 new indirect jobs. But who actually gets the job is up for debate.
The first thing that's touted is this will bring 3,600, 4,000, 5,000 jobs to the area. How true is that?
I haven't seen it. I haven't seen it. Very few local people get job opportunities at those facilities.
Our partners at the Times-Picayune New Orleans Advocate quoted Michael Hecht, president and CEO of Greater New Orleans Incorporated, saying to fill jobs at the plant, Formosa will draw workers from as far away as Lafayette and Hancock County, Mississippi, with the hopes they would convince people to buy homes in St. James Parish. But before new residents arrive, Sharon Lavigne says she'll fight for those who are already here to make sure the price of economic growth isn't the place many like her simply call home.
I'm not going to just give up and let somebody come take over our community and take over our homes. So many people in St. James have expressed to me they are glad we are fighting and they are behind us, and they don't want to move either. So if God hadn't spoke to me, I wouldn't be doing this today. But when God told me to fight, I know God have a plan for us.
And we learned today Earth Justice, representing several environmental organizations, including Rise St. James, filed an appeal challenging the state's decision to approve air permits for the Formosa petrochemical plant. An attorney for Earth Justice says, quote, Louisiana violated the Clean Air Act when it gave Formosa the green light to double toxic air pollution in St. James. So what exactly would be emitted from the Formosa plant, and should it move forward? I spoke with Kim Terrell at the Environmental Law Clinic at Tulane University. You can check out that exclusive interview on our website, WWLTV.com.